Mental health topics, ideas, language, and concerns have dominated American and Canadian culture over the past 10 years. This has come largely from people's willingness to talk about personal mental health issues, which has destigmatized mental and emotional struggle and fostered a more inclusive society for people who are neurodivergent and live with mental health challenges. However, increased attention to mental health has also been accompanied by a rise in mental health misinformation and misrepresentation, which is especially prolific and viral on social media. Because of this, I've decided to review and discuss several videos from established news outlets that explore how online mental health misinformation and misrepresentation impact people, society, and self image, including for those who live with legitimate mental disorders. Mental health topics and content are incredibly popular on social media platforms. On TikTok and Instagram, there are nearly 90 million posts with the hashtag mental health. There are 100 billion cumulative views on TikTok under the search term mental health. And according to a 9 News report, 87% of Gen Z and millennials seek out some mental health information on TikTok. However, a 2025 investigation from The Guardian found that more than half of the top 100 TikToks posted under the hashtag mental health tips were vague, unhelpful, or downright false. After doing a similar investigation of 1,000 TikTok videos on mental health in English, French, and Spanish from 16 different countries, researchers from the University of Montreal found that 1/5 were misleading or contained misinformation. One reason these videos are viewed so many times is that social media algorithms are optimized for engagement, not accuracy. Because mental health topics are popular, content on the subject is elevated in algorithmically driven feeds. Videos featuring anecdotes about emotional or mental struggles are especially compelling. But when people share their personal experiences online, others tend to generalize those individual experiences and assume they reflect universal truths. Content creators are also motivated to make mental health or mental disorder related videos for reasons other than providing expert advice, such as building an online brand, gaining more views, or selling a product. The virality of inaccurate mental health videos is leading to people, especially young people, to self diagnose themselves with mental disorders that don't exist or they do not meet the criteria for. For example, there are more than 10,000 videos on TikTok about high functioning anxiety. But while the term is a hashtag, it is not a medical diagnosis in the DSM. While this has happened, the percentage of 18 to 34-year-olds who disregard their medical provider's guidance in favor of advice on social media rose from 26% in 2024 to 38% in 2025. Awareness and a willingness to talk about mental health struggles can reduce stigmas around them. But Lucy Folks, an academic psychologist at Oxford University, argues that over-awareness mixed with misinformation on digital platforms oversimplifies and popularizes mental disorders and has led people to self-diagnosing and mislabeling normal struggles as mental illness. We've gone from a lack of awareness about mental struggles to too much. In the modern era, where identity politics are commonplace, some people are becoming attached to self-appointed and potentially inaccurate mental disorder labels because it offers them an identity and community to belong to. For example, if someone self-identifies as having high-functioning anxiety, puts it as an identifier on their Instagram profile, and finds friendships in the high functioning anxiety internet communities, they may become attached to the label and resist suggestions from medical professionals that it is inaccurate. If the label is accompanied by a fixed mindset, it may encourage them to avoid low level anxiety triggers or exposure therapy, reduce their resilience, and ultimately reinforce and increase their anxious feelings over time. Lucy Folks calls this the nocebo effect, or the opposite of the placebo effect. The mislabeling of mental health disorders among people who do not have them can be harmful to those with legitimate psychiatric conditions. It can cause society to take their ailments less seriously and make it harder for them to access services due to artificially inflated demand. The appropriation of psychiatric labels by people who do not have a mental or emotional disorder can have an impact like those who appropriate cultural or ethnic markers from racial minorities. People without valid disorders may undermine and misrepresent the narratives of those who have them. They can also take away resources from the mentally ill, similar to how pretendians, or settlers who pretend to be Indian, do for indigenous peoples. There are understandable reasons why people are drawn to social media for mental health information. It's free, easily accessible, and available 24 hours a day, whereas in-person or professional medical health services may be expensive, have long wait times, and be difficult to schedule. However, the normalization of mental health misinformation online isn't something we should minimize or accept. We should make tech platforms responsible for addressing it in their networks and cultivate media literacy skills among people of all ages to guard against its harms.